Commit to Wealth Nation, welcome to the Commit to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Juan Vargas. Today on the show, we have Sterling White. Sterling is a single-family and multifamily investor from Indianapolis, Indiana. He has acquired 130 single-family homes and 176 multifamily units. He's the co-founder of Holdfolio and SyndicationPro. So Sterling White, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Juan, just want to say I appreciate everything that you do for your audience and also the community. Let's get the ball rolling.
Let's get this ball rolling. Let's definitely get this thing going, man. So yeah, Sterling, it's great to have you on, and so tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us where you're calling us from. Tell us about your background, and we'll get into the nuts and bolts about the interview.
Yeah, so born here in Indianapolis, Indiana, in the not so good parts of the specific city, and
not so good parts.
I was in the neighborhoods where you wouldn't want to walk your dog at night, or even times during the day. Mm-hmm. But I've always had the entrepreneurship knack from my early childhood days. My first product was actually Kool-Aid, and then second product was Pokemon cards. So since then, to fast forward, how I got into real estate is I fell into it. Maybe it was the universe, and that was on the construction side, and found a mentor and got more into the investing. And then that's when I transitioned to currently where I am now, buying single families, and then scale things up to multifamily.
Okay. Well, good. All right. So you started where you come from. You just said it. It wasn't not so good area, but the good thing is that in life we can direct our goals and our vision, right? And so we can definitely take charge of it. So that's something that you did. You did it exactly that. So talk about your single family homes and why you decided real estate was really the path. You said that you kind of fell into it through construction, but that was on the construction side. Why did you decide to get into the rental side?
Yeah, it was and this came from my mentor. I was at a CrossFit gym and I was training for a world record at that time. That's a whole nother story in itself. But this individual was talking about long-term wealth and then multifamily holdings, but they were looking to transition into the single family side. And I always wanted to transition from construction and didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to be in real estate. So I approached that individual and said, I'm willing to work for you for free, ultimately just to learn the industry. People thought I was crazy for working for them for free, but that's how I got started on the investing side, in which I brought that individual the deal and they funded it and I retained equity. And that's how things started.
That's how things started. So I really, really like that. So anybody out there that, if you are newer, or even if you have taken down a couple of deals, and you want to learn even more, I mean, what he just said right there is valuable. Working for somebody for free. Who does that? Well, the guys that do that are the ones that they have big goals and they want to achieve more. You're not really working for free. You're working for that experience. And that's valuable in itself. So I really like that. So you were able to take down 130 single family homes. How were you able to do that?
That was just really scaling things. So using originally friends and family. And then once we really started the acquisition mode, that's when we brought in outside partners to ramp up the acquisition side. And our model is strictly buy and hold, my partner and I, on that side. Okay.
And these are all in the same market in Indianapolis?
Yes, exactly. C-class assets, so older built, and about C plus to B minus neighborhoods.
Okay. So what was your strategy there? Were you, because I know that you're not really doing that anymore. So were you looking for properties that were like in really distressed condition, or were they already like rent ready? What was your strategy there?
Yeah, so these properties needed work, just about everything. And in Indianapolis, these houses are very affordable. So we would buy something for between 30 to 40,000, put about 15 to 20 into it, and then rent it for 700 to 800. And then so what we did was we had a portfolio of these that were producing income, and then that's when we would bring investors in to cash ourselves out, and then they would get a return on their cash from the income, and then we would take our own cash and then go do it again. So sort of the BRRRR method is what you hear on sites such as BiggerPockets.
Yeah, on BiggerPockets, there's a method that's called the BRRRR method, for anybody that doesn't know what that is what's it? How many R's is it? 4? Is it 4 R's?
17 R's. No, I'm kidding.
17 R's.
buy,
We'll be here
rinse,
forever.
buy, rinse, repeat, and I forget what the other R
But
stands for.
is buy, rehab, refinance, and then repeat. Is that something like that? Yeah. So, yeah, it's a very good strategy. Definitely you can just keep repeating, and it's a cycle. You keep doing it, and before you know it, you wake up one day and you have a big portfolio. So, definitely good strategy. So, apart from these 130 single family homes, you also have 176 multifamily units. So, talk about how you were able to acquire these as well.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention we did acquire another 80 unit just recently. So it's what is it? 176 plus 80, whatever that comes out
256,
to.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's where we're at on the multifamily side, and then on the single family is 130 or so. And what was your question? You said,
yeah. So how were you able to acquire these properties?
Yes.
What are you doing differently? Are you find these properties through brokers, through broker relationships? You find these, through your own marketing, or what are you doing?
So everything's complete off market, and our primary form of contact is cold call. I know people just dread that as soon as I say it, about kicked in the face rejection. But one is cold calling's not dead, and ultimately you have to find a way to get to your goals. Getting kicked in the face, I know it's going to happen, but you just got to do it in order to take down those deals. Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it. That's exactly right. So why do you think cold calling is the way? And a lot of people don't like that, and most people actually out there don't like that. But why do you think that's the key for you?
Yeah, it's just about getting the decision maker on the phone, because there's all these mechanisms. I would say now in our age, everything's been shifting more to the digital. I would say more the traditional, not newspaper or billboards. Even that may still work depending on whatever sector you're in. But cold calling is not very many people use that mechanism because they're trying to go the other routes. And we've seen that when you get in touch with someone and you follow up, then they tend to say, okay, well, this person's serious. Okay, I am considering on selling. Okay, this person's top of mind. Or if they're not, that's another way to follow up. So once they do decide to sell, there you are. It's just building more rapport.
You're building more rapport. And so that's like one of the first, things that you do. And then do you follow up with them in a different way, or do you call them again?
Yeah. So and it's all on tuition. So there's one is you can follow up via call. One thing is we do implement direct mail too, and also personal visits. So someone could hang up on me, let's say, or I could follow up with someone that's in Louisville, Kentucky, which is 2 hours away. I'll call them and say, hey, John Smith, I happen to be in town this upcoming Thursday. What does your schedule look like? They say, okay, well, at 2 p.m., I happen to be free. Well, I'm taking a trip out there to Louisville. So that's just another way to implement another form of calling, but then personal visit.
Yeah, to initiate the contact. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about how you are finding their contact information. I think that's, something that, a lot of people struggle with. They struggle with finding the property, first of all, and the address, and getting those basic information. But how are you getting their actual contact information? And are you getting like an email apart from just a phone number?
Yeah. So first is a lot of the information relating to the property is public record. So we actually have a specific database that we use through a broker or specific realtor, but there is other sources such as listsource.com that you can utilize. And then once you find the LLC that owns the asset, or if it's even more mom and pop, they may have it actually under their name. Then you use this wonderful site called google.com to skip trace that LLC. Skip tracing is you just type it into the search bar and then see all of the results. And you can go to manta.com, betterbusiness.org or .com, and then you can actually find who's the owner of the LLC, and you can find their contact that way.
So what was the name of those websites that you said?
Manta.com. It's
Manta?
It's a business directory. And then there's also Better Business Bureau. And then there's another one called Open Corporates. But these are just sites that people list their property on. And usually you can find John Smith is the principal of that LLC.
Okay. So Manta.com, betterbusinessbureau.com. And what was the third one?
Opencorporates.org, I believe it is. Or
Opencorporates.org.
yes. And these are things that you would see as the, what do you call that? The URLs on the Google search.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you enter the LLC, if you have the LLC, you enter the LLC into those databases, and then the owner information pops up.
Exactly. And
Okay.
if the owner information doesn't, if they're just their name does, then you can leverage, it's called been verified, which is a source you type their first and last name into. Hopefully it's not a very generic name like John Smith. And so once you type it in there, it actually pulls up phone numbers, home addresses, relatives, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, you with this, you have to be like a detective in a way. If you have one piece of data, you just have to leverage that to get to where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, I know how it is because I've done it myself, and I still do it to this day. Apart from my broker relationships, I still do reach out to owners directly, and so it can be time consuming. It really can be. You sit there and you're definitely a detective. You're finding out who the person is, and you're finding out what their contact information is. So let's kind of role play here. Let's say that I'm a seller, right? You found out my information.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to give me a call,
Mm-hmm.
and so you want to do that real quick?
Yeah, let's do that. And one thing I wanted to mention to everyone is what we recently implemented is having a researcher. So we have someone that actually scraps all that data for us. Because as you mentioned, it's very time consuming. You can find someone for $5 or $6 to do that on Upwork.com, and you just have to teach them the process.
Okay. So you can go to Upwork.com and one of these platforms and just put it out there that you're looking for somebody to find properties to help you find
Fiverr.com.
Fiverr
is another.
Yeah, Fiverr's the other one. Yeah, Fiverr's the other one. Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's definitely something that I need to do myself as well. But yeah, that's good. That's some good stuff. So let's go ahead and role play a little bit, right?
Yes.
So let's say I have a 50-unit property that you
Mm-hmm.
like, you did your little research on, and you finally got a hold of me, or you finally got my contact information. So ring, ring, ring. And so I'm answering, right? Hello?
Hey, this is Sterling here. Can I speak with Juan?
Yes, this is Juan. This is me.
Hey there, Juan. This is Sterling. I'm Sterling here. I wanted to personally reach out to you. I own Bentwood Apartments that's just 10 minutes away from yours. We recently closed on it. I want to personally reach out to you to see if you'd be interested in selling.
Well, you know what, Sterling, I haven't really thought about it, to be honest with you, but I guess it's something that depending on the offer, depending on what you throw out there, then I may be willing to sell. I may think about it.
Gotcha. I completely understand, Juan. If we were able to provide the right price to you, what would that be? Then at that point in time, would you consider on selling?
Yeah, again, it depends on the price, because I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm cash flowing, so I don't think there's a reason for me to sell. But if you provide the right numbers, then I may consider it. So again, it's price has a lot to do with it. Yeah.
Awesome. I completely understand and agree with you on our end. For us to make an educated offer to you that would work for you, is we would need some financials, and we can have something over to you within the next 24 hours. Sound good?
Yeah, that definitely sounds good. Then, what is your email? And then I can maybe forward that to you.
All right, perfect. Yep.
Yeah. So something simple as that. So I like that. I like that because you pretty much are, you get straight to the conversation, and, there's no reason to kick tires around, and you just kind of go straight to it and ask them what it is that you're calling for,
Yeah. And oftentimes what you'll get is some people use their defense mechanism. Like when you walk into a store, they'll say, "Oh, I'm not interested." Mm-hmm. One thing that I always leverage is, "Hey, I completely understand. I'd imagine when I call, you're so busy, you get these calls all the time. Give me 1 minute. If you don't like what you hear, I'll hang up on myself." And then that's when you go into the qualifying and say, "Do you have an apartment that's over 50 units?" Is to be, I would say, one thing I've learned in sales is not only interested, but be interesting. So kind of have it back and forth.
There you go. Okay. So you initiate the, you tell them that you're going to hang up if they don't like what you hear, and you're going to hang up yourself. and just that'll be the end of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, like for my example, you called me and, I provide the financials to you. Then you threw me an offer, right? You have an offer. I don't really like the offer. So I kind of ignore it because that's reality. A lot of the sellers ignore your contact, and so that's what I did to you. I ignored your offer and I'm just letting it sit there on the table and I'm just going about my business. So then what do you do?
That is where the follow-up comes in. If I happen to have that person's, I stopped in an owner's office the other day, is, hey, John Smith, I know you're busy and your hands are full. I just happen to be in the neighborhood. I sent over that offer last week. Just want to know if you were able to take a look at it. On our end, we're very serious. And here is actually a credibility book. That's one thing that we provide to sellers too, a credibility book, which is a PDF document showing our track record. And once I stop by, I say, hey, as mentioned, we're completely transparent, we're reputable, and we're ready to go. Our financing's lined up.
There you go. So that is one thing that I would like to say to everybody. If you are planning to do this, as an active guy, if you're planning to do this, to make sure that you have your ducks in a row. Don't go out there, shooting for properties, trying to find properties. If you can't even take them down, make sure that if you don't have the experience, you at least have initiated some and built a good relationship with other syndicators or other real estate investors, in general. And, you got to make sure that you have your ducks in a row. You have your financing, lined up, like you said,
exactly.
and then put together a business plan. Because if you don't have that, forget about it. It's going to be really difficult, and so have a pitch book. I like that. Have a business plan where it shows your track record and experience and, similar properties that you have done. So I would say that, yeah, that's definitely very, very important to be able to take down a deal.
Yeah, exactly. And then also to take a step all the way back is you want to understand what your target asset is. So for us, we're looking for mom and pop owners, apartment complexes, unit count between 75 to 150 units in B- to C+ neighborhoods that are C-class older built assets. So we get very narrow in specific markets and very niche. And that way, that's how we can be more personal visits integrated, because we know that, okay, we use the 80-20 principle in saying that, okay, well, we have all these assets in this market, but this is the 20% that we're going to focus on, and we're going to do 80% of our efforts on that because we know that there's value that we can bring there. They're mom and pop ran, they're running into the ground. Yeah.
And another thing I would add to that is, like you said, you focus in on the type of properties that you're looking for. Because if you're all over the place, man, forget about it. You're not going to find anything. You're going to be shooting all over the place and you're not going to get to anything. But if you zone in on the type of property that you're looking at or looking for, and you're also looking for properties in that certain submarket that exactly. And you have studied, then you'll find them. And you'll know when a good deal comes around as well. Yeah. So what if I had ignored you on that second time again? Then how do you follow up again?
That is, I've dropped this a couple times, but this is my favorite one. This is a gem. I will send them a Rubik's Cube. And the Rubik's Cube will say a small note and say, hey, let's figure this out.
Why a Rubik's Cube?
Because I want to share a story. A very quick story is I actually called an owner to follow up with them after sending the Rubik's Cube. And they said, my wife cannot figure out this Rubik's Cube. And the thing is staying top of mind. So when this person is ready to sell, the Rubik's Cube is there. And they're like, the Rubik's Cube guy that wants to buy my apartment. And then there you go. I
like that because they're not going to, that's something that you typically will, keep your hands on. Most people out there, they like to, accomplish something, and that's a form of accomplishment. And, if they spend a lot of time on it, then who was that guy that sent me this, man? You're always going to be on the top of their mind. So, or how could they remember it was you? If let's say a year goes by or whatever, then
I'm not going to let a year go by without following up with them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. You're going to be following up, many times before that. Okay.
And that's just always been my aggressive nature. Someone could say, call me back in 2 or 3 months or next quarter. I'm calling back within, I would say, a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have to understand the tone of that person. And it's always good to be creative in your follow-ups, because if you keep pounding the phone on them, then they're going to get annoyed. But if you're sending a direct mail piece about bringing value, a 1031 exchange, are you familiar with this, and being of value, then that allows you to follow up without being annoying. It's kind of, yeah.
Okay. Well, no, that's some good stuff. So, you follow up a few times, as many times as it takes.
Exactly. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. So have you followed up on a property many times over where you still haven't taken it down?
There's one right now where I've been in touch with the owner for, I think it's just a little under 2 years. And that is a multifamily property, but we were very close to going under contract, I would say multiple times. And they ended up going with another buyer. And it was just more of, we didn't want to buy the property and the land, and they were wanting to find someone to buy both. But at one point they said, okay, we'll sell it with just that, the property, well, the townhomes, but then they switched to and got someone else again. So, but yeah, it's all about follow up, being persistent. And if you don't have those skills as an individual, just be self-aware and find someone who complements that so you can get them plugged in there. Got
it. So in your direct mail pieces that you send out, they don't have to go into every single line, but like, what are some of the main, key points that you bring up in a letter?
Yeah. So one is I implement some of the single family direct mail strategies. So it'll be the yellow letter is one method where it's on a yellow notepad, and then it'll be in red ink, but it'll be the same as the pitch that I would have on the cold call. And let's say I haven't been able to get in touch with them for 3 or 4 times. Maybe it's not even the correct number that I have, that I would say, hey, John Smith, I bought so-and-so just around the corner. Would you be interested in selling? So that's what it'll say on that yellow letter. And then also in other follow-ups, it'll say, are you familiar with a 1031 exchange? But usually I'll implement that one once someone just says they're not interested, or maybe they'll sell at a later point.
Okay. Yeah. The key, I think at the end of the day, is to be persistent and consistent. Just keep it going, keep it going
creative.
And be creative. Yeah. I mean, there's multiple ways. I mean, creative, you just talked about it. Your Rubik's cubes, that you send out. I mean, not many people think about that, so that's something that kind of separates you, and you better believe that they're going to be thinking about you. When they can't figure this thing out, they're either going to be upset at you, or they're going to be, excited because they finally figured it out. So one of the two, but they'll definitely be thinking about you,
Yeah.
And they're not going to be throwing that thing away either, So,
or send them a shoe if they haven't heard from you and say, hey, I'm looking to get my foot in the door. I haven't done that one yet.
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, that is a good one. Yeah, I'm looking to get my foot in the door. So yeah, that's a creative one.
I'm still trying to find some small shoes in bulk. I have yet to find it, but I'll find
some baby shoes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some business baby shoes or something.
There you go. No, that's creative though. That really is. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we need to do a podcast just on the different ways, different creative ways you can reach out to owners. I mean, such as that one. No, that's pretty good. I like that.
An overarching idea is, and I got this from Grant. I'm huge on sales training, Grant Cardone, and it's all about, even though you're buying, you're still selling. So I treat it as all sales. It's a sales process ultimately. And they're in your funnel, they're in your pipeline, and then you have to nurture that lead and then convert them to buying their asset.
Yeah, exactly. And now that you mentioned Grant, and you talked about sales, Grant does talk about, sales is everything. That's everything is sales. Everything that you do in life is sales. And so it really resonated with me, just with like my kids, for example. Kids sell all the time. And so I have a 10-year-old. He's 18 years old now. He'll be 11 in a couple of weeks, but he plays football. So that's one of the things he does. He plays football. But a few years ago, whenever he started playing football, he went out there with a couple of buddies, and he was like, "Hey, can I play with you guys?" So how were they going to let him play on the team? He had to sell himself. So they started testing him. They started throwing him the ball, and of course he's not going to drop it. If you drop it, you're not going to get on the team. You're not going to get picked, So he had to catch it. That's part of selling yourself. So it starts at an early age. You sell yourself, in school and, every single day. And so, yeah, ultimately he was playing with them, and they got to play, and they played, all the time. And now he's on football teams, and, he's doing great, but it
Awesome.
starts at an early age. And as part of the,
Yeah.
it translates over to real estate and business in general. So
Huge unlock for me is
Mhm.
just that concept you said is
Yeah.
sales is everything. Cause it
Sales is
is.
everything. It is.
Yeah.
It is exactly. So that is great. That is great. So let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. I know that you have a platform that's called Syndication Pro, right?
Hmm.
So it's basically a way to keep track of your investors and to stay involved, and interact with them, communication. So let's talk about that. Why you created it? Who's it for? And just talk about the good things about it.
Yeah, so syndicationpro.co, that was built by investors for investors, specifically my partner and I. When we
Okay.
got started syndicating, there were products that were already out there
Uh-huh.
and huge price tags. So we decided, hey, let's build this out ourselves. And fast forward 4 years later, we still see that there's a need for that specific smaller operators that are looking to scale. So
Okay.
it's just a way to facilitate the entire investment process online, also manage your investors, which I mean, keeps investor retention and saves you significant time, which allows you to focus on deal acquisitions versus back office operations.
Yeah. So it kind of integrates that, makes the process easier. So talk about the different, I guess, built-in platforms that you can use, within that big platform.
Yeah, so there's there's a CRM that you would have. So you would have all your investors all in one place versus having a CRM here that you use separate. And then also there's the emails that you can integrate. So we just wanted to have everything all inclusive. And when you're ready to have a deal open for investment, you would notify your partners, they would log into your site, and then they would view it. And then they can hit the invest now button and do the complete process online. So versus you having to send them PDF documents, maybe via email or even through the mail, they sign everything and send it back to you.
Okay. And some of the other things that you have on there is website integration. So somebody can actually integrate their website. That's part of having the documents and everything ready for your investors. But that's neat in itself. You can have website integration. A built-in CRM, investor communications and distributions. And so this is awesome. So what is something like this go for? And you mentioned is for usually for the smaller syndicators.
Mm-hmm.
What is smaller in this? In your eyes, what is smaller and who is it for?
Yeah, so I would say someone who is has, let's say, 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 apartment deals or specific offerings. So those are the niche that we go after because that's formerly where we were at, and we just again built the software on top of what we were utilizing.
Okay, so what is the pricing on this as well?
Oh yeah, you did mention that. So it is 5,000. So it's 500 down, and then the remaining 4,500 after implementation, and then it's 75 if you happen to have 0 offerings, and then $300 per offering. So very affordable.
Okay, yeah, definitely very affordable and something that you can actually implement, as an expense. I mean, it's part of it, as a business expense as well.
Yeah, bill it to the property. That's what we've seen.
Yeah, exactly, and write it off. Yeah. So okay, well that's awesome. That's a good platform. It's called Syndication Pro for anybody out there that's is taking down a couple of deals. And then definitely look into it. And what is the website for that?
Yeah, it is syndicationpro.co, not .com.
Yeah, .co. Okay, make sure you get that right. So, okay, well, it is time for our nuggets of wealth. Okay, so these are questions that I ask every guest every week, and hopefully they are able to help my audience. So, Sterling, what is a good tool, source, or platform that you use almost every day that can also help others?
It's Cardone University. I'm not affiliate whatsoever, but that is the sales training that I use every day, even weekends, to train myself ultimately.
Why do you use that university? What's so special about it?
It really goes into the specific techniques of the whole sales process and dealing with or communicating with people who are interested in your product. It goes through the whole process from start to finish.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's Grant Cardone's, obviously. And I'm a big fan of his as well. Actually my profile picture is with him, cause I've met him a couple of times.
Oh, there
So
we go.
yeah, he's obviously he talks a lot of smack, but that's what makes him great. It makes him funny. But he keeps it real at the same time. So, Grant Cardone, he's obviously an awesome dude. So what was the best business advice you ever received?
Oh gosh. Uh, Man, there's so many, but one is wealthy people buy time is one thing. And from that, meaning wealthy people buy time, a prime example is, let's say I'm at King's, or instead of mowing my own grass or my groceries, for instance, I have someone go and get the groceries versus me going to get them myself. So that time that I would be spending doing that, I actually can do business work.
There you go. And that's something that can be pretty difficult for a lot of guys that are starting out. Why would I pay somebody to go get my groceries, or why would I pay somebody to mow my lawn? Because a
Yeah,
lot of people
exactly.
have that. Me myself, I can do it. Kind of mentality, and so you just have to bust through that, man. Because if you want to keep growing, you got to focus on the main things. And I always tell a couple people. I tell people this all the time is focus on what's going to make you the money. And what is that? Deals and raising capital. Those couple of
Hmm.
things. If you are a passive investor, I do have some passive investors that listen to the show as well. That is networking with syndicators. You don't necessarily have to focus on raising capital, but you still got to network with the syndicators and build those relationships with them.
Exactly.
So that's part of finding the deals. If you're a passive investor, so deals and capital.
Hmm.
Deals of dollars. So, what book are you currently reading?
Gosh, what is that book I was just reading? Oh, it's called Sales IQ or Sales EQ.
Sales EQ. Okay, who's that
Yes.
written by?
Jeb Blount or Jeb Blunt? Jeb Blount, I believe is the name.
Okay.
And it just goes into more of having the emotional intelligence during the sales process, because you can close people on logic. Well, there's closing people on logic, and I still have to get through the whole book, but people make emotional decisions and justify with logic. There it is.
Okay. Gotcha. What is the best strategy for you to manage your time?
Hire someone to help me manage my time.
Yeah,
So
you
that
just talked
goes,
about it. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I would say getting a assistant if possible. I don't have like a full-time assistant or anything, but, and this is another piece of advice I want to mention too, that's worked for me, is just being self-aware and determining what your strengths are and putting people in your weaknesses. So I'm not very organizational. I'm go, 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 but I create a mess. So I was able to get someone in there to help with clean up some of those messes that I happen to do. Like for today, for instance, I double booked myself because I was trying to do my own scheduling, which didn't work out with
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all right. And no, I'm not even gonna talk about it, but I was gonna say, about the the little pop in that you did earlier. So I guess since I already mentioned it, I was on another interview with somebody else, and we also do video. So for anybody out there on YouTube, so we do video, and then out of nowhere, Sterling pops in. He's like in the middle of the interview. We're like, oh, I don't know what to say at that moment, but it was cool. It was funny. Once we got off, I was just laughing, So there's nothing else you can do but laugh, So
So,
um,
so on that person's podcast, he's going to put guest starring or featuring Sterling White.
Sterling White. So yeah, that's what is gonna sell it right there. So that's awesome. Guest appearance, surprise appearance. There you go.
It's like he's everywhere.
This guy's everywhere. Pops up like this.
Yeah.
Um, so Sterling, where do you see your business and company in the next 5 years?
Oh man, you're dropping bombs. Okay. Myself, I take it year by year. And so for this upcoming year, it was this year, which we didn't hit, which I'm not too happy about myself, and I take full responsibility. But next year is 500 multifamily units under acquisitions, so own and manage on our side.
There you go. There you go. I like that. Be specific in your goals. Okay, so at the end of your life, how do you want to be remembered?
Whew. I would say one, which is one of my big whys, is being an ideal that the environment I came from, there's a lot of people that take this troubled path of going to jail, drugs, gang-related activity, that, hey, I came from this. Here's another path that you can take, and here's the blueprint in order to do that. So I would say that's one thing I really want to create a legacy of, just being an idea of, hey, this is what this person did. And a little kid from that neighborhood say, hey, I don't have to do this. I remember there's this guy right here. I can be like him.
There you
Or
go.
even better.
That's really what it's about at the end of the day, man. Just giving back, again, it's about giving back. And if you can do that and impact somebody's lives, for the positive and for the better, then that's where it's at. That's where it's at. Definitely. So, last question, Sterling. So where can Commit to Wealth Nation go to contact you and find out more about you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so you can go to syndicationpro.co or email me at sterling@syndicationpro.co. Or if you have a bigger pockets, profile, you can go on there and slide into my DM and ask me whatever questions you may have. I'm here to provide value ultimately.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, Sterling, it was a great honor to have you on. You definitely gave us a bunch of value for sure. You gave us a bunch of value for sure, and finding deals, and you also talked about your Syndication Pro platform as well. So I appreciate it once again, and I wish you continued success.
I appreciate you, Juan. Dream big, take action, all you guys.
There you go, and that's what it's about. Take action.
Woo!
Oh man,
A little Ric Flair at the end there.
a little Ric Flair.